Hola. My name is Anne Marie McKelvey, and I've lived here since 1979. And please stay strong, Governor, and keep the original mission for WIPP, because we all put together a lot of energy 30 plus years ago to not have anything else happen. And now what's going on is the DOE is doing these little maneuvers. So please stay strong for us. Keep us protected. Don't let us be a sacrifice zone.
Governor Lujan Grisham, do you want nuclear waste in New Mexico as your legacy? I'm a resident and voter of Santa Fe County.
I live on 285 near El Dorado. This is the corridor that the DOE uses to ship nuclear radioactive waste from Los Alamos to the pilot plant, the acronym WIPP. I have learned that the DOE now plans to make it a permanent repository for nuclear waste. It's going to increase shipments, both by volume and toxicity. I'm horrified. I'm outraged. Sending nuclear waste through or even near residential areas is wrong. Governor, please don't let this happen in New Mexico.
Governor, stand strong and tell DOE that it can't change the WIPP mission.
Hi. My neighborhood is on Highway 285, the designated route for radioactive waste going to the dump. My neighborhood is where I plan to spend the rest of my life. The Department of Energy is breaking every promise it made with New Mexico to ship a waste so deadly it was never meant for transport, and to do this for over a century. I bought this property in my neighborhood thinking I would be safe. I no longer feel safe. Governor Lujan Grisham, please say no to the DOE. Don't let them destroy my health and my property and those of my neighbors. Thank you.
Governor, thank you for recognizing that nuclear waste is a serious threat for New Mexicans. The federal government has broken its social contract with New Mexico regarding the waste isolation pilot plant. Weapons-grade plutonium was never intended to go into WIPP, but now the feds are planning to dilute this dangerous plutonium and dispose of it in WIPP anyway for the rest of this century. There are currently no other plans in our country for disposal of plutonium other than WIPP. The transportation, handling, and storage of this very dangerous waste over the decades and far beyond puts New Mexicans at greater risk than in any other state. Please help us take back control of our state and our future health. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm an El Dorado resident, and this is SETI, and we are very concerned about the expansion of WIPP 285. I am very concerned about the expansion of WIPP, and I'm just hoping that our governor, Lujan Grisham, will stop this from happening. So that's all I can say. I've got a child, I've got SETI, and I've got other animals, my husband, and not to mention my dear neighbors, and we don't want this happening.
This is my community. My name is Christy, and this is my home.
My name is Roger, and I walk my dog, Lucy, every day on this street.
I'm Winnie, and I live in beautiful El Dorado. Younger people frequently ask me, how do you stay in such great physical shape? Well, it's all the time that I spend outside exercising in this beautiful mountain air. But if WIPP is permitted to continue in this fashion, they will never get to experience this. And this is very saddening. Help us stop it.
My name is Graham.
My name is Sandra. I'm an artist.
And this is where my business is located.
My name is Jackie. Our community of El Dorado has lived with radioactive waste being driven on Highway 285 for the past 25 years, and we were assured it would be finished in 2024. Now we feel betrayed.
My name is Roger. The new waste is powdered plutonium and can't be cleaned up if it is released. It will be transported not once but twice along Highway 285 that borders our community and will continue its route through 13 states.
And on top of that, Lanol is producing more nuclear warheads, and that will increase radioactive waste going past our community to WIPP.
We call upon the governor to deny any permits that will expand WIPP.
We call upon the governor to hold WIPP to its original promises.
We ask the governor, we urge the governor to protect our citizens.
Hello, Governor Grisham. Me and all my friends are the future of New Mexico, and we want New Mexico to be a safe place for our lives. WIPP expansion is transporting powdered plutonium, which is very dangerous. New Mexico has a lot of traffic accidents on the highway. Powdered plutonium in old trucks with tired drivers is not a good idea. Please, Governor Grisham, say no to the Department of Energy and tell them that they cannot change the original mission. By the way, what are the promises that the DOE are breaking? Number 1, they said other states would build repository to store the hazardous waste. No other state has done this. Number 2, twice as much radioactive material will be buried in New Mexico. Number 3, WIPP will not close in 2024, but remain open forever. Number 4, new more dangerous waste, powdered plutonium, will be driven in old trucks all over our roads. Keep us safe, Governor Grisham. All the kids of New Mexico, thank you.
Hello, Governor. My name is Donna, and I'm doing this video to ask you, if, as the highest representative, that you not allow the WIPP draft contract to go through. We're asking that the routes be saved from nuclear waste. Thank you.
Governor Lujan Grisham, the federal government is planning on turning Highway 285 into a major shipping route with more nuclear waste traffic. I live on this highway. I live in Laney, just a half a mile away from the highway. Don't let the federal government put my local neighborhood in jeopardy. I'm a NASA scientist, retired now, but I worked at NASA for 30 years. I know how dangerous this plutonium nuclear waste is.
Governor Lujan Grisham, my name is Diane Brown. My neighborhood is on the route for the pilot plant, also known as WIPP, which disposes of federal nuclear weapons waste. Like its name implies, it is a pilot plant and not meant to be the only plant in the United States. We call on you, the governor of our great state, to insist that waste going to WIPP have an end date, and that the Department of Energy build repositories in other states. New Mexico shouldn't bear the weight of disposing of all the nation's nuclear weapons waste alone. We are done, as New Mexicans, being the poster child for the legacy of nuclear harm.
Before New Mexico agreed to be the test state for the WIPP dump where nuclear weapons waste is disposed,
It legally demanded that the feds ensure the waste be only moderately contaminated, limited in volume, and that shipments end in 2024. The DOE has decided to break each of those promises. Only you, as governor, can insist that DOE holds to its legal agreements. Governor, please say no to the Department of Energy.
Governor Lujan Grisham. I live in El Dorado, close to the 285 corridor. I moved here just 3 years ago, and I only recently learned about the WIPP project. Please do not extend the scope or timing of WIPP. This was designed as a pilot with agreed upon limits. New Mexico should not take on endless risks in transporting and disposing of the waste from the nuclear power industry and nuclear weaponry. It should be a shared burden. As a public health professional and as a resident, please adhere to the original WIPP agreement. Thanks.
Hello, Governor Grisham, this is Sue Garfield, and I actually live in El Dorado since 1987, and I have a great concern about the WIPP route. It originally didn't seem so bad when we first of all decided what to do, but it appears to be getting much worse, and you must please say no to this bill that's going to come in which we are going to be much more in danger. We are on a wildlife corridor route. We have many different types of weathers, and we have a lot of people who drive these trains and have these trucks running that are not necessarily an expert at the field if something happens. We can't guarantee nothing will happen. It will only take one incident and our whole area will go down. So we must stop this incredibly bad situation from being put to New Mexicans. Please, it is only you that can do this. Thank you.
The federal government is planning on turning Highway 285 into a major shipping route with much more nuclear waste traffic. I live on this highway. As this New Mexico's highest representative, please do not let the federal government put my local neighborhood in danger. I also wanted to mention that I spent most of my adult life running long hauls across the United States and particularly through this part of our country.
My name isn't important, nor is the name of the agency I work for. You've probably seen those This Is My Neighborhood videos about all the radioactive waste traveling past our communities. You know, not everyone in New Mexico is afraid of a little extra radioactive waste traffic passing their homes, especially if they don't know about it. My dog Sparky and I actually lived in a certain nuclear waste dump in southeastern New Mexico just to prove it's as safe as they say. And we weren't harmed, were we, Sparky? We think New Mexico is privileged to be the only state storing nuclear weapons waste. It makes it outshine all the 49 other states. Well, it outglows them in the dark, anyway. Meow. Don't be afraid of every little risk the DOE decides to throw your way. We don't mind 48 extra little tons of nuclear waste traveling past our home for the rest of the century. Do we, Sparky? Don't go losing your head, going around telling your neighbors how scary this new DOE mission is. Don't make public comments at the upcoming permit renewal hearing. Believe you me, the DOE makes it very easy not to make public comments. And don't call the governor at 505-476-2200 to ask for protection. Don't think of it so much as DOE not abiding by New Mexico's legal limits. Think of it as DOE simply making promises it doesn't intend to keep. Make our neighborhoods silent again.
This is my neighborhood.
the school, the volunteer fire station, bicycle paths. And this is the road that goes past my neighborhood. There's nothing special about my neighborhood except this road. This is Highway 285, and it's the designated route for radioactive waste shipments in New Mexico. It goes past Santa Fe, El Dorado, Lamy, and all the way down to Roswell and Carlsbad. These shipments of nuclear weapons waste leave Los Alamos Lab to be disposed of in the dump we call WIPP, Waste Isolation Pilot Plant. The WIPP dump has received shipments along this road for 22 years, and there's already been an explosion of one of the radioactive drums that traveled 285. The federal government promised the dump would stop taking more waste in 2024, 3 years from now. We hoped we just might get through this bad plan without any more accidents. But now the feds are planning to break their promises to New Mexicans and ship nuclear waste from weapons across the nation to the WIPP dump and keep shipping it past our neighborhoods for decades, to 2080 and beyond. If you live in a neighborhood like mine, or if your community is now at risk by being on the route that will crisscross at least 7 states, call your governor. Tell your governor that you don't want more WIPP waste going past your home for decades. Tell your governor to say no. Governor Lujan Grisham's number is 505-476-2200.
This is my neighborhood. This is a ball that someone hit into my yard. It's mine now. This is my house. And although you can't see it, there's a frisbee up on the roof that's also mine now. My neighborhood is just like neighborhoods all over the country, except for the highway that runs past it. This is U.S. Highway 285. This is the designated route for nuclear waste shipments that eventually find their way to the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant, also called WIPP, near Carlsbad, New Mexico. WIPP has been accepting legacy transuranic TRU waste, clothing, tools, debris, etc., that have been contaminated with small amounts of plutonium and other radioactive elements since 1999. Originally, WIPP was scheduled to stop accepting legacy transuranic waste in 2024. The Department of Energy, however, has altered the deal it originally made with New Mexico when WIPP was set up to extend the life of the facility and to expand the types of nuclear waste that it can accept to include actual plutonium, not just plutonium-contaminated materials. Now, considering the accidents at LANL and at WIPP documented in the Santa Fe New Mexican and the Albuquerque Journal, do we really want to risk a release of plutonium along the highway that runs past our neighborhoods? I don't. Should there be a release of plutonium on the WIPP route down 285? Just like the frisbee on my roof, I wouldn't see it. But the consequences of that release would be mine. Now, if you don't want the consequences of such a release either, contact Governor Lujan Grisham. Contact your representative, your senators in Washington, and beseech them in the bowels of Christ to consider that the altered deal for WIPP might be wrong.
What you're about to hear is not based on a Stephen King horror story. It's a true horror story that can affect you and your family. Get this. The Department of Energy is now planning to dump even more nuclear waste in New Mexico. And this nuclear waste is much more contaminated. This waste is surplus nuclear weapons waste from decommissioned bombs containing radioactive plutonium. It will be shipped in semi-tractor trailers and trucks past your house, down 599 to 285 to I-25. This will be an all-out invasion of nuclear weapons waste being dumped in your state for many more decades to come. New Mexico never agreed to this. What can you do? Call our governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, now at 476-2200 and tell her to say no to the Department of Energy's plan. That number, 476-2200. We are not the nation's nuclear toilet. Want to do more? Email nuclear.waste@yahoo.com.